The alarm screamed through station endurance at 3 in the morning. Park was already awake. He had not slept well in 15 years, not since. His hands were steady as he pulled on his boots and grabbed his medical bag. The alarm meant trouble. On a frontier station orbiting a dying red star, trouble usually meant death. He walked through the metal corridors while others ran. Running wasted energy. Running made you miss details. Had learned this lesson in Blood and Fire, and he had never forgotten it. The emergency docking bay was chaos when he arrived. Security officers shouted orders. Engineers tried to seal hull breaches. And in the center of it all sat a ship that should not exist this far from the core worlds. A Thornback hunting vessel. Stopped walking. He stared at the ship. It was beautiful in the way that hurricanes were beautiful. Dark metal curved like bones. The hull was covered in patterns that looked like scars. This was a ship built by creatures who had destroyed 4 civilizations and eaten the survivors. Captain appeared beside him. The captain was a young man, only 40, and his face was pale with fear. "We need to destroy it," said. "Galactic law requires extermination on sight." "Is anyone alive inside?" asked. "We do not know. We have not opened it." Walked toward the ship. Behind him shouted for him to stop. Did not stop. He had stopped running from death a long time ago. The ship's entrance was already open. Something had torn through it from the inside, climbed through the twisted metal and entered the darkness. His flashlight showed him horrors. Thornback bodies filled the corridor. They were huge, each one over 2 meters tall, covered in black armor that grew from their own skin. Their limbs ended in blades. Their blood was green and smoking where it touched the metal floor. They were all dead, but not from human weapons. Had studied Thornbacks for 20 years. He knew their biology better than anyone in this sector. These wounds were made by other Thornbacks. This was not an attack from outside. This was civil war. He moved deeper into the ship. At the end of the corridor, he found her. She was bigger than the others. Her armor was thicker, older, marked with the patterns of a high-ranking warrior. She was missing one arm. Green blood pooled around her body. She was dying, but she was not dead yet. In her remaining arm, she held a small metal container against her chest. She was protecting it with the last of her strength. Knelt beside her. The Thornback's 4 eyes focused on him. Her translator unit crackled with static, then produced words in broken English. "Human, you smell different." Said nothing. He opened his medical bag. "You smell like the quiet death," she continued. "The one who walks through fire and does not burn, the one our hunters spoke of before they died." Behind, Boots entered the ship, security officers with pulse rifles. He heard shouting orders to fire. Stood and turned around. He placed himself between the rifles and the dying predator. "Lower your weapons," he said. "Step aside," ordered. "That thing is a threat." "She is dying. She is no threat to anyone. Lower your weapons." Stared at him. Everyone on Station Endurance knew who Park was. They knew what he had done on. For 6 days, alone, he had fought off a Thornback hunting party. 17 warriors had entered that colony. None had left alive. A medic with no ammunition had killed them all with whatever he could find. The Thornbacks did not have a word for survivor. They had invented one for him. Lowered his rifle. The others followed. Turned back to the dying Thornback. "What is your name?" he asked. "Ah," she said, I was a mother." "What happened here?" "They came for my children, our own kind, our leaders. They said my bloodline was defective. They said my children showed weakness." Her voice was fatting. But it was not weakness. It was something else, something they feared. She pushed the metal container toward him. "Open it." Press the release. The container hissed and opened. Inside were 3 small creatures. They looked like Thornbacks, but they were tiny, barely bigger than human cats. Their armor was soft and pale. Their blade limbs had not grown yet. They made small crying sounds like hungry puppies. Bobbies, Thornback Bobbies. I ran, Oz said. I ran across half the galaxy. I knew they would catch me. I knew I would die. But I had to find somewhere safe for them, someone who could protect them. Why me? Asked. Why here? Oz's eyes were closing. Her life was ending. Because you are the only thing in this galaxy that I trust. You fought our hunters and survived. Not because you were stronger, because you would not stop, because you protected your people until the end, because you understand what it means to keep something small alive when everything wants it dead. Her clawed hand touched his. They called you Uncle Death, but I see now that they were wrong. Death does not protect, death does not heal. You are something else, something we do not have a word for. She looked at her children one last time. Raise them, teach them. Show them that being strong does not mean being cruel. Show them what they could become. Her eyes closed. Her breathing stopped. The great predator died on the floor of her ship, far from home, surrounded by enemies. And she died in peace, because she believed her children were safe. Looked down at the three hatchlings. They were staring at him with 8 tiny eyes. One of them made a small sound, almost like a question. Appeared behind him. What do we do with those things? The captain asked. They will grow up to be monsters. They will kill us all. Picked up the container. The hatchlings were warm against his chest. No, he said, they will not. How can you be sure? Walked past him, carrying the children of his enemy into the station. Because I am going to raise them. Behind him, stood in the blood-soaked ship, watching the strange old man carry the future of a predator species into the light. He did not understand. But he would. In the years to come, the entire galaxy would learn what one human could do when he decided that something small and dangerous deserved a chance to become something better. It would learn why the predators called him Uncle Death. And it would learn to be afraid. 1 month passed. Station Endurance was now under quarantine. The official reason was containment protocols. The real reason was that every government in 3 sectors wanted the Thornback hatchlings. Some wanted them dead. Some wanted them as weapons. No one wanted them alive and free. Park refused to give them to anyone. He had turned a storage room into a home for the hatchlings. The walls were soft. The lights were warm. He had installed temperature controls because baby thornbacks needed heat to grow properly. He had researched their diet and found that they could eat most earth proteins. They liked chicken very much. The hatchlings had grown. They were now the size of large dogs. Their armor was darkening from pale gray to deep black. Their blade limbs were starting to form, small and sharp like kitchen knives. Their hunting instincts were waking up. Every morning entered their room and sat with them. He let them smell him. He let them climb on him. He spoke to them in a calm, quiet voice. He was teaching them that humans were not prey. He was teaching them that not everything needed to be killed. Did not understand any of this. She was 28 years old. She had graduated at the top of her class in xenobiology. She had requested a posting on the frontier because she wanted adventure. She had not expected this. She stood outside the storage room, watching through the window as fed the hatchlings pieces of cooked meat. The creatures fought over the food, snapping and hissing at each other. Their small blades left marks on the floor. "How are you not afraid?" she asked when came out. He wiped his hands on a towel. "I am afraid." "Then how can you go in there every day?" Looked at her. His eyes were calm and sad, the eyes of a man who had seen too much. "Fear is just information," he said. "It tells you what matters. Those children matter, so I go in there despite the fear. They are not children, they are thornbacks. They destroyed 4 civilizations. Their ancestors destroyed 4 civilizations. These 3 have destroyed nothing. They are bobbies. They did not choose what they were born as." Shook her head. "You cannot change what they are." I am not trying to change what they are. I am trying to show them what they could become. A week later, the Galactic Council sent an envoy. Ambassador was a species of tall, thin beings with silver skin and large black eyes. 300 years ago, the Thornbacks had destroyed They had eaten millions. The who survived had spent centuries building a new civilization, always afraid, always watching the stars for hunters. Hated Thornbacks more than he hated anything in the universe. He stood in Captain's office, looking at the security footage of the hatchlings. "This is madness," he said. "You are raising weapons. You are feeding death." "They are children," said. He stood in the corner, arms crossed. "They are monsters. Their species has caused more suffering than any other in galactic history. They must be destroyed, or at minimum surrendered to the Council for study." "No." Turn to face him. "You do not have the authority to refuse." "I am their guardian. I have all the authority I need." "The Council will send ships. They will take those creatures by force." His voice did not change. It stayed calm and quiet. "They can try." Something in his tone made step back. They had heard stories about this human. Everyone had heard stories. But seeing him in person was different. There was something behind his eyes, something that did not move, did not bend, did not break. "You are insane," said. "Possibly, but I am also right." That night, the station lost power for 30 seconds. It was enough. One of the hatchlings escaped. It squeezed through a gap in the door that should not have existed. It moved through the dark corridors on instinct, following smells, following warmth, following movement. Was walking back to her quarters when she heard the sound, a clicking noise, like blades on metal. She turned around. The hatchling was there. It was crouched low, eyes glowing faintly in the emergency lights. Its blade limbs were extended. It was not the size of a dog anymore. It had grown. It was the size of a wolf. And it was hunting. Screamed, she fell backward, hitting the wall. The hatchling moved closer, slow and careful. It was tasting the air. It was deciding if she was food. "Help!" shouted. "Someone help me!" The hatchling tensed. It was going to jump. Then was there. He did not run. He did not shout. He simply walked between and the hatchling, putting his body in the path of the attack. The hatchling stopped. Knelt down. He was at eye level with the creature now. If it attacked, he would not be able to dodge. Its blades could cut through his chest in less than a second. He looked into its 4 eyes. And he growled. It was a low, rumbling sound from deep in his chest. It was not a human sound. It was a sound he had learned on, in the blood and darkness, fighting for his life against creatures that did not know fear. It was the sound of a dominant predator. The hatchling's eyes widened, its blade limbs slowly retracted, its body lowered to the floor, its head bowed. It was submitting. Held out his hand. The hatchling crept forward and pressed its head against his palm. It made a soft sound, almost like purring. "You are not a monster," said quietly. "You are just lost. You are just hungry. You are just scared. I understand. I will teach you a better way." He picked up the hatchling. It curled against his chest, suddenly looking very small. Stared at him. Her heart was still racing. Her hands were shaking. "How did you do that?" she whispered. Looked at her over his shoulder. "I did not fight it. I did not run from it. I showed it that I understood what it was feeling. Predators are not evil. They are just following instincts. If you give them something better to follow, they will choose that instead." He started walking back toward the storage room. These children do not need to be destroyed. They need to be taught. They need to be shown that there is more to life than hunting and killing. They need someone who believes they can be better. And you believe that. Stopped at the door. The other 2 hatchlings were waiting inside, pressing against the window, worried about their sibling. "I have to believe it," he said. "Because if I am wrong, then there is no hope for anyone. Not for them. Not for humans, not for the galaxy, but if I am right. He opened the door. The hatchlings rushed toward him, making sounds of relief. If I am right, then everything changes. In Captain's office, Ambassador watched the security footage of what had just happened. He watched the human stand between a predator and its prey. He watched the predator choose to submit. He watched the human carry it home like a child. "What is he?" asked. Shook his head. "He is human. All humans are like this." Thought about it. He thought about human history. He thought about all the times humans had adopted enemies, protected the weak, stood in front of danger for others. "Yes," he said finally, "when something small needs protecting, we are all like that." Said nothing, but for the first time in 300 years, he felt something other than hatred when he thought about the future. He felt something that might have been hope. 3 months after Ah died, her children spoke their first words. The hatchlings had grown to the size of tigers. Their armor was fully black now, hard as stone. Their blade limbs were long and sharp. They could run faster than any human. They could see in complete darkness. They could smell fear from 100 meters away. They were terrifying. They were also learning to read. Park had started with simple picture books, human children's stories. He read to them every night before they slept. At first, they just listened to his voice. Then they started looking at the pictures. Then they started pointing at words. Now they could speak. The largest one spoke first. Its voice was rough, like rocks grinding together, but the words were clear. "Uncle," it said, "we are hungry." Smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in months. "Then let us eat together," he said. Watched from the observation window as shared a meal with 3 apex predators. They sat around a table. They used their claws carefully to pick up food. They waited for to start eating before they began. "He is teaching them manners," said to herself. "He is teaching monsters manners." But she did not call them monsters anymore, not in her heart. She had watched them grow. She had seen them play. She had heard them cry when they had bad dreams. They were children, dangerous children, but still children. The problem came 1 week later. Called a meeting with Captain, and his face was serious. "We have a crisis," he said, "a biological crisis." "Are they sick?" asked. "No, they are healthy. That is the problem. Thornback children go through a development stage around this age. Their brain chemistry requires a specific experience to develop properly." "What experience?" Paused. "Their first kill." The room went silent. "It is biological," continued. "Without this experience, their neural pathways do not form correctly. They become unstable, aggressive, dangerous. So they need to kill something," said. "Then let them hunt animals. We have a livestock section." "It is not that simple. The kill must feel real. It must feel important. In traditional Thornback culture, children hunt other sapient beings for their first kill. That is how they prove they are worthy of a name." Felt cold. "You cannot let them kill people." "I will not let them kill people, but I also cannot let them become broken. There must be another way." Spent 3 days in the station's computer systems. He barely slept. He barely ate. He was searching for a solution. He found one. The station had a hunting simulation deck. It was designed for training security officers. It used holographic technology to create realistic environments and targets. The experience felt real in every way, but nothing actually died. Modified it. He created a scenario where the hatchlings would hunt and kill a virtual prey creature, but not just any creature. He programmed the simulation to show them their own kind. Corrupt Thornbacks, the hunters who had killed their mother, the leaders who had ordered their deaths. "They need to kill something that matters," explained too. "Something that represents what they hate. Something that lets them feel powerful against the things that made them afraid." "Is this safe?" "No, nothing about this is safe. but it is better than the alternatives. The hatchlings entered the simulation one by one. The largest went first. It spent 20 minutes tracking its prey through a dark forest. When it finally found the virtual thornback, it fought with fury. Its blade limbs cut through the hologram again and again. When the simulation ended, it was breathing hard. But then something unexpected happened. The virtual thornback's body lay on the ground. In traditional thornback culture, the child would now eat part of the kill. This was how they absorbed the prey's strength. This was how they proved their dominance. The hatchling looked at the body. Then it turned away. "I do not want to eat it," it said. "I am not hungry for this." Felt his heart stop. This had never happened in recorded thornback history. Every thornback who completed their first kill also completed the eating ritual. It was biological. It was instinct. But this hatchling had refused. The other two did the same. They hunted, they killed, and then they refused to consume their prey. "Why?" asked them afterward. "Why did you not eat?" The smallest hatchling answered. It was the of the three, the one who learned fastest. "Because that is what they would do," it said. "The ones who killed our mother, the ones who wanted us dead, they eat their kills, they take and take and take. We do not want to be like them." Sat down heavily. He was crying. He did not try to hide it. "You are right," he said. "You are absolutely right." That night the hatchlings chose their names. In thornback culture, names were earned through the first kill. The kill defined who you were, but these hatchlings had refused the traditional path. They had made a choice. They would define themselves differently. They chose human names, Korean names, because they wanted to honor the human who had saved them. The fastest one, the scout, chose the name. It meant wind. The smallest one, the strategist, chose the name. It meant star. The largest one, the protector, chose the name. It meant sword. "These are our names now," said. "We are not what our ancestors were. We are something new." That same week, discovered the truth about Ah. He had been analyzing data from her crashed ship. Most of it was damaged, but some files were still readable. Communication records, intelligence reports, history. What he found changed everything. The Thornback leadership had been conducting a secret program for centuries. They were eliminating bloodlines that showed certain traits: empathy, cooperation, restraint, the ability to form bonds outside the hunting pack. They called these traits defective. They called them weaknesses. But the historical records showed something different. Long ago, before the Thornbacks became destroyers, they had been builders. They had formed alliances. They had traded peacefully. They had shown mercy to weaker species. Then something changed. A new leadership rose to power. They believed that strength meant cruelty. They believed that survival meant conquest. They began eliminating any Thornback who thought differently. Ah's bloodline was one of the last, the old way, the original way. That was why she was hunted. That was why her children were marked for death. They were not defective. They were what Thornbacks were supposed to become. Showed this information too, and they sat in silence for a long time. "Our mother knew," said finally. "She knew we were special. She knew we could be different. That is why she brought you to me," said. "She believed you could show the galaxy that Thornbacks did not have to be monsters. She believed you could be the future." Stood up, its blade limbs extended, then retracted, a habit it had when thinking. "Then we will try," said. "We will try to be what she believed we could be. We will try to be better." "It will not be easy," warned. "Nothing good is easy," said. "You taught us that." The alarm cut through the moment. Red lights filled the room. Captain's voice came through the speakers. "All personnel to emergency stations. We have contacts dropping out of hyperspace. 12 ships. Thornback hunting fleet." The hatchlings he looked back at them. "They found us," said. "Yes." "They are coming to kill us." "Yes." moved forward, putting itself between and the door, protecting him, like he had protected them. "Then we will fight," said. "We will not let them hurt you." Put his hand on his armored shoulder. "No," he said, "we will not fight, not yet. First we will talk, we will show them what you have become, and if talking fails." He looked at his children, his family. "Then I will show them why they call me Uncle Death." 12 Thornback warship surrounded Station Endurance. Each ship was 3 times larger than the station. Each ship carried hundreds of warriors. Each ship had weapons that could turn the station into dust in seconds. In the command center, Captain stared at the tactical display. His hands were shaking. "We cannot fight them," he said. "We cannot run, we cannot hide." Park stood beside him, calm as always. "Then we talk," said. "They do not talk, they hunt. That is all they do." "Everyone talks eventually. You just have to give them a reason." The communication screen flickered. A face appeared. It was a Thornback, larger than any had ever seen. Its armor was covered in scars and symbols. Its 4 eyes burned with cold intelligence. "I am Or," the Thornback said, "matriarch of the hunting fleets, speaker for the true way. I have killed 10,000 prey across 100 worlds. I have never lost a hunt." Stepped forward. "I am Park, I am a doctor. I know who you are, human, the quiet death, the one who killed 17 of my warriors on. You have something that belongs to us." The children belong to themselves. Or made a sound like grinding metal, laughter. "Children, you call them children. They are defectives, broken genetics, weakness in our bloodline. They must be destroyed before they spread their corruption." What corruption? The ability to think, the ability to choose, the ability to be more than killers. Those are not strengths. Those are diseases. The strong survive by taking. The weak survive by serving. There is no other way. There was once, your own history shows it, before your current leaders took power, Thornbacks were different. They built alliances. They showed mercy. They were respected, not feared. Or's eyes narrowed. "You have been reading forbidden records." "I have been learning the truth." "The truth is weakness. The old way made us targets. The new way made us rulers. We will not go back." "Then you will fade. Every species that lives only by killing eventually runs out of prey. You know this. That is why you eliminate any Thornback who thinks differently. You are not protecting strength. You are protecting fear." The communication cut off. Grab's arm. "What are you doing? You are making them angry." "Good, angry creatures make mistakes." The speakers crackled, Or's voice returned. "You have 1 cycle to surrender the defectives and yourself. After that, we destroy the station. Every human, every creature, everything." The transmission ended. Ambassador appeared in the command center. His silver face was troubled. "The Galactic Council refuses to intervene," he said. "They say this is an internal Thornback matter. They will not risk war for 3 children and 1 human station." Slammed his hand on the console. "Cowards, all of them." "I expected nothing different," said. "Then what do? We cannot evacuate. Their ships are too fast. We cannot fight. We will die in seconds." "Walk toward the door. I will go to them." Everyone stopped. "What?" said. "I will take a shuttle. I will go to their flagship. I will speak to or directly." "That is suicide." "Maybe, but if I stay here, everyone dies. If I go there, maybe I can change something. Maybe I can reach her." Stepped forward. "I will go with you." Looked at him surprised. "You hate Thornbacks." "I do. I have hated them for 300 years, but I have watched you these past months. I have watched you raise monsters and turn them into children. If there is even a small chance that you can do the same with their species." He straightened his thin body. 3 centuries ago, my people prayed for someone to stand between our children and the hunters. No one came. I will not let that happen again." Nodded. "Then we go together." The shuttle left station. endurance 20 minutes later, and watched it fly toward the Thornback fleet. They stood at the observation window, their blade limbs pressed against the glass. "He is leaving us," said. "He is protecting us," corrected. "He is doing what he always does. He is standing between danger and the things he loves. We should be with him. He told us to stay. He said it was important that we stay alive, that we are the future." Said nothing. It watched the tiny shuttle grow smaller and smaller. The flagship's docking bay opened. The shuttle flew inside, like a mouse entering a lion's den. Stepped out first, followed. They were surrounded by Thornback warriors immediately, hundreds of them. Their blade limbs were extended. Their eyes glowed with hunger. They had not killed in days and they wanted blood. Walked forward. The warriors parted, not because he threatened them, not because he showed weapons. They parted because of the way he walked. He walked like he belonged here. He walked like he was not afraid. They had seen prey before. They had seen enemies. They had never seen anything like this. The path led to a great hall. At the center sat Or, ancient and massive. She was the largest Thornback alive. She had ruled her species for 200 years. She had never been challenged. "You are brave," she said, "or stupid." Both admitted. "I came to show you something." "What could you possibly show me, little human?" "What your children are becoming." Reached into his bag. Every warrior tensed, or raised her blade limb ready to strike. Pulled out a small data pad. He activated it. Images appeared in the air. And learning to read, playing games, helping repair station equipment, sitting with at dinner, laughing. Thornbacks laughing. The warriors shifted uncomfortably. They had never seen young Thornbacks laugh. "They are not weak," said. "They completed their first kill in simulation. They proved they could hunt, but they chose not to eat. They chose to be different. They chose to be more." Or watched the images. Her expression did not change. "This proves nothing. They are still defective. They are evolved. They are what your species could become if you stopped killing everything that was different. Your ancestors knew this. Your history proves it. History is dead. Only strength survives. Then why are you afraid of 3 children?" The hall went silent. "You brought 12 ships," continued. "Hundreds of warriors, enough firepower to destroy a planet for 3 bobbies and 1 human station. That is not strength. That is fear. You are afraid that these children will prove you wrong. You are afraid that the old way was better. You are afraid that you made a mistake." Or moved. She was fast, impossibly fast. Her blade limb stopped 1 centimeter from his throat. "I could kill you in 1 heartbeat," she said. "Yes," agreed, "but you will not." "Why?" "Because I am broadcasting everything. Every species in range is watching right now. Every screen, every station, every planet. They are all seeing the great Thornback matriarch threatening an unarmed doctor. If you kill me, the galaxy will see exactly what you are. And more importantly, they will see that you were afraid." Or's blade did not move. "You cannot win by killing me," said. "You can only win by letting me go. And if you let me go, you admit that we were right, that the children deserve to live, that there might be another way. So I should just surrender, accept defeat." "No, I have another suggestion." Took a breath. "Trial by combat." Or's eyes flickered, interest. "You choose your best warrior," continued. "I fight them. If I win, the children go free. If I lose, you can do whatever you want. You will die. Probably, but at least I will die trying. And everyone watching will see that humans do not give up, even against impossible odds, even against the greatest predators in the galaxy. We keep fighting." Or studied him for a long moment. "Why do you care so much about these defectives?" He thought about their laughter, their questions, their fear and their hope. "Because they are my family," he said, "and family is worth dying for." Or her blade. I accept your challenge, she said. My champion against you tomorrow in the arena, and your children will watch. Nodded, I have one more request. Let them speak before the fight. Let them show your people what they have become. Or considered this. Then she made the grinding sound again. Agreed. Tomorrow the galaxy will see what your children can do, and then they will watch you die. Smiled. We will see, he said. We will see. The arena was ancient. It had been carved from the heart of an asteroid centuries ago. Stone seats rose in circles toward a dark ceiling. Thousands of thornbacks filled those seats, their eyes glowing like red stars. They had come from all 12 ships to watch their champion destroy the human who dared to challenge them. In the center of the arena stood Park. He was wearing simple clothes, no armor, no weapons. He looked very small. Across from him stood was the greatest warrior the Thornbacks had produced in 100 years. He was 3 meters tall. His armor was thick and from 1,000 fights. His blade limbs were long enough to cut a human in half. He had never lost a battle. He had killed more prey than anyone in living memory. He looked at like he was looking at an insect. Or sat on her throne above the arena. She raised one blade limb. Before the combat begins, the defectives will speak. They wish to address our people. I have granted this request. And entered the arena. They walked to stand beside. The crowd hissed and growled at the sight of them. They were traitors to their kind. They were weaklings. They did not belong. Stepped forward, the smallest of the three, She spoke in perfect Thornback. Her voice was clear and strong. Our mother gave her life to save us. She brought us across the galaxy to find someone who would raise us, not because humans are strong, not because humans are powerful. She brought us to humans because they understand something that we have forgotten. The arena fell silent. No one expected the defective to speak so well. Uncle taught us to read. He taught us to think. He taught us that strength is not just killing. Strength is protecting. Strength is building. Strength is choosing not to destroy even when you can. Spoke next, the largest, the protector. We completed our first hunt. We proved we could kill, but we chose not to eat our prey. We chose to be different, not because we are weak, because we are strong enough to choose a different path. Spoke last, the fastest, the scout. Our ancestors were builders. Our history proves it. Before the current leaders took power, Thornbacks formed alliances. We worked with other species. We were respected, not feared. That is what we could become again. That is what we want to become. Looked at or kill us if you must, but know that you are not killing weakness. You are killing the future. The arena was silent. Then the growling started. The crowd wanted blood. They did not want to hear words. They wanted to see the human die. Or raised her blade limb again. Enough talk. The combat begins now. The children moved to the edge of the arena. They wanted to fight. They wanted to protect, but he had told them to stay back. He had told them this was his battle. Moved forward. His blade limbs extended fully. Each one was longer than his entire body. I will make this quick, said, out of respect for your courage. Thank you, said. I will try to make it interesting. Charged. He was fast, faster than anything that size should be. His blades cut through the air where had been standing. But was not there. He had learned to fight Thornbacks on, for 6 days with no weapons, no ammunition, no help. He had learned how they moved. He had learned their weaknesses. He had learned that speed meant nothing if you could predict where your enemy would strike. Rolled under the first attack. He came up running, spun and slashed again, jumped over the blade. He grabbed a loose stone from the arena floor. He threw it at his eyes. The warrior flinched. Just for a moment, that was enough. Was inside his guard now. He struck at the nerve cluster under his arm. It was a spot he had learned about from studying Thornback anatomy, a spot that caused extreme pain. Screamed. The crowd roared. Their champion was hurt. The human had drawn blood, but recovered quickly. His blade caught across the chest, not deep but enough to bleed, stumbled backward. The fight continued for 10 minutes, then 20, then 30. Was bleeding from a dozen cuts. His left arm was broken. He could barely stand, but he kept fighting. Every time thought he was finished, found a way to dodge, a way to counter, a way to survive. The crowd had stopped cheering. They were watching in silence. They had never seen prey fight like this. Finally pinned to the ground, his blade limb pressed against the human's throat. One push and it would be over. "Why do you keep fighting?" asked. "You cannot win. You are dying." Looked up at him. His face was bloody. His body was broken, but his eyes were calm. "Because they are watching," he said. "Because they need to see that there is another way. Because even if I die, they will remember." Raised his blade for the final strike. Then spoke. "He is teaching us that strength is not killing." Her voice carried across the silent arena. She was speaking in the thornback dominant tongue, the language of challenge, the language of truth. "He is teaching us that survival is not conquest. If you kill him, you prove he was right about what you have become." Blade paused. Spoke next. "We do not wish to be what you are, we wish to be what he is." Added softly, "He calls us family. Do you remember what that word means?" The arena was completely silent now. Every thornback was listening. They could feel something changing, something old and forgotten stirring in their blood. Or leaned forward on her throne. "What word?" Answered, his voice broken but clear. "It is a human word. It means the people you would die for, the people you live for, the people who make you better than you are alone." He looked at his children. "They are mine now, and I am theirs. Kill me if you must, but you will not kill what I have taught them. You will not kill the idea that thornbacks can be more, that love is stronger than hunting, that family matters more than blood." Stood frozen, his blade still raised. Or rose from her throne. She walked down into the arena. The crowd parted for her. She was the oldest thornback alive. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had killed more prey than anyone in history. She stood over his broken body. "I remember that word," she said slowly. "Family. We had a word like it long ago, before we forgot." She looked at she saw something in them that she had not seen in centuries. Something that had been bred out of her people, hunted to near extinction. "Hope." "Stand down," War said. "The combat is over." "But matriarch." "I said stand down." His blade, he stepped back confused. Or looked at the crowd, her people, the children of destruction. "The human is right," she said. "We have been running from our own future. We have been killing our own evolution. These children are not defectives. They are what we should have become." She turned to. "Take your family, Uncle Death. Raise them well, teach them everything, and when they are grown." She paused. For the first time in 200 years, her voice was soft. "Bring them back to us. Perhaps they can teach us what we have forgotten." Tried to stand. He could not. His body was too broken. And rushed to him. They lifted him gently between them. Their blade limbs retracted so they would not hurt him. "We have you," Uncle said. "We will always have you." Smiled through the blood and pain. "I know, that is what family means." 5 years later, Station Endurance was no longer a frontier outpost. It was the first joint human thornback research facility. Ships came from across the galaxy to study what was happening there. Worked as a scout for exploration teams. He was the fastest thing in space, and he used that speed to find new worlds for all species. Became a translator and teacher. She taught thornbacks to speak with other species instead of hunting them. Served as a security officer, but not the old way. He protected the weak. He stood between danger and those who could not defend themselves. Was station director now. She had stopped being afraid of thornbacks years ago. She had learned what always knew. Monsters were not born, they were made, and they could be unmade with patience and love. On the observation deck, Park sat watching the stars. His hair was gray now. His hands shook a little. He was old. But he was happy. Sat beside him. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked, standing in front of that dying predator, taking in her children. Watched and through the window. They were playing a card game with a group of younglings, laughing, teaching, being family. "The galaxy told them they were monsters," said. "I told them they were family. That is not something to regret." He smiled. "That is what humans do. We find broken things and help them grow. We stand between danger and the things we love. We believe in second chances, even when no one else does." Nodded slowly. "Do you think it will last, the peace with the Thornbacks?" Watched his children laugh. "I do not know, but I know this. 3 children who were supposed to be monsters are now helping build a better galaxy. 3 children who were hunted and hated now have families of their own. 3 children learned that love is stronger than hunting." He looked at. If 3 children can change, then maybe everyone can. Maybe that is the lesson. Maybe that is what humans are supposed to teach the galaxy. What lesson? Park, the one they called Uncle Death, watched the stars with eyes full of peace. That no one is beyond saving. That everyone deserves a chance. That the future is not written in blood and violence. He closed his eyes. The future is written in love. And far across the galaxy, on the Thornback, young warriors learned a new word. A human word. A word that changed everything. Family. The end.